Hello friends, I'm Natalie and welcome to today's Craft and Create. For today's program, we are going to be bringing you a spooky Halloween project, and not just any spooky Halloween project, but one paying homage to a famously spooky artist, Edward Gorey. He was born in 1925 and he started drawing at the age of 2. He claimed that he got his artistic ability from his great-grandmother who did greeting cards. His art did not seem typical for greeting cards. From the early 1950s until he died in 2000, Gorey created more than 100 small books, in addition to being a Tony Award-winning set designer, an artist for other people's books, and creating the opening titles to the PBS series Mystery. His work paired heavy ink drawings with sparse text, frequently illustrating an event moments before tragedy. His backgrounds are frequently overwhelming to the figures that populate them, filled with oversized urns, ominously reaching plants, dark draperies, crumbling walls, and Byzantine wallpapers. For today's project, we will be borrowing these overwrought backgrounds for our own pictures. We will be creating a simple character for the piece, a blown ink ghost like these, and then drawing in a Gorey-style background behind them. We will look at the way he used different kinds of inking to create scenes that are dense and layered, but still easy to understand, with clearly differentiated objects and surfaces. While we work, we will not only be exploring the techniques we are using to create this art, but also discussing Edward Gorey as a person. We are going to be inspired by his art today, but also by Gorey himself. He was a visually intriguing person, pairing fur coats with sneakers and a profusion of silver rings. He moved in interesting circles, including Frank O'Hara and Donald Hall among his friends. He went to every performance of the New York City Ballet for nearly 30 years. Here in the library we have some materials so you can learn more about him. Born to be Posthumous, a biography by Mark Jerry. Amphigory, the first collection of his works, and I believe there are 15 different stories contained here. And Nonsense, the curious story of Edward Gorey, a children's biography by Laurie Mortensen, as well as the many magazine articles, news pieces, and biographies from our online resource Galen Context Biography. Here are the materials we will need for this project. First, we're going to need some paper. A textured paper will work better for this project so that the ghost will have crinkly edges. I'll be using some watercolor paper here. We'll also need a straw. We're going to use this straw to blow air on our ghost, and the type of straw doesn't really matter. We'll need some ink or very thin acrylic paint. I'm going to use India ink for this. You can dilute it with water if you want to, but once it dries, it's set, and getting it wet again won't make the ink run. That makes it easy to draw on afterward. We're going to need a black pen or marker to draw in the background. You can use pretty much any kind of pen or marker. Gorey himself used a nib pen and ink. I like to use a felt tip pen. I've also got a ballpoint pen here, and I tried out a Sharpie when I was coming up with the activity, and that worked well too. You may want to lay down a newspaper on your workspace if you think it might get messy. And you'll probably want a damp paper towel handy, just in case. The last thing we're going to need is something to make the eyes. You can use a dot of white paint or a white gel pen, a dab of whiteout, or I guess you could grab 2 paper dots from a hole punch and glue them down. We just need to be able to make 2 white circles on our ghost for the eyes. I will leave the exact method to your discretion. That's everything, so let's get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Craft and Create. Today we are going to be making some blown ink ghosts with an Edward Gorey inspiration. I am Natalie Perkins.
And I'm Storm.
And today we are all going to make some ghosts together and have a little bit of fun. We're going to need a few things to get started. We're going to need a piece of paper to draw. We're going to need something to draw with. I've got a felt tip pen right here, but we've got a variety of other implements. Sharpies, paint brushes, ballpoint pens. You can use whatever's handy. We're going to need some ink to make our blown ink ghost. And then we're going to need something to blow the ink with. Let's get started. We've got a few different kinds of ink here. We've got some India ink, which is going to be very thin. We've got some acrylic paint, and I've thinned both of these. This one is going to be about a milk thinness, and this one is going to be a little bit thicker than that. The reason we've done that is the thinner it is, the more spindly a ghost you're going to get. The spindlier it is, the spookier it is. The thicker it is, the rounder it's going to be. And that's going to give you more of a cute ghost vibe. We're going to make a couple different kinds and we'll just see how they turn out.
Yeah, should be interesting.
All right. So do you want to pick one? And I'll pick a different one just so they start out different.
Sure, I guess I'll go. Since this is right next to me, I'll go with the thicker consistency.
Right. Now, the easiest way for me to get a little bit of ink or paint on here is to put my straw in there, cover up the top, and when I pull it out, there's going to be a little drop of ink stuck in there. I'm going to give it a little pop down there, and there will be a little drop of ink on there. Now, you could use a spoon or something like that to put it on there. And that might be a little neater because as you can see, we've got a little bit of ink on there. And when I blow through here, we're going to get a little bit of a spatter. But I happen to find that very charming. So I don't consider that a problem.
Mine always seems to go backwards. So we'll see how this goes when I do this.
You'll note that we have covered the table in a protective material. If you enjoy having a table that doesn't have ink on it, you'll want to do the same.
You'll also want to make sure you're wearing something that you don't mind getting black paint spatters on, because that has also happened to me.
You may want to use a smock. Okay. As you can see, I'm using a thinner ink and it's giving these little reaching lines. Storm is using a thicker ink and she's got a rounder ghost going on.
I am.
The reason that we're doing some blown ink ghosts today is because I think that they look very nice against these drawn backgrounds. We're doing some drawn backgrounds because Edward Gorey, one of my favorite authors, one of my favorite illustrators, he did these really dense background drawings that are just perfect for Halloween, I've always thought.
Very, yeah.
So that's what we're going to be giving a try for today. I'm giving my ghost just a little bit of time to dry up. I know, Storm is laughing because when you use paint, especially a thicker paint, it takes a while to dry. This has been thinned significantly, and I've spread it out considerably across the paper, so there's no part of it that's very thick on here. If I give a little bit of time to dry up, he's going to be much safer to draw around than if I went right in immediately and tried to draw on top of the wet paint. Now, the shape that I've got here, it seems like there's kind of a little face coming out over here, and he's got, I don't know, a dangly robe or something going on. I'm going to try to work that in, I think.
It looks like he's become kind of this splotchy, short-looking ghost.
That's a ghost. That's a ghost I would hug. I wake up in the middle of the night, he's haunting me. Yeah.
All right. Figure out what I'm going to draw around that.
So I've made a gradient. These are all taken from Edward Gorey pictures. And we are going to make these backgrounds behind our ghosts. And the way to differentiate different items in the background is to make it different shades of black. All the things that we're using today are black. And black on black can be a little bit oppressive. So we've got some choices for how that happens. We've got different kinds of patterning we can do. We've got different densities of line work. We've got intensities of cross hatching. So we are going to just see how effectively we can make a complex background without our ghost getting lost in there. This is going to be challenging.
It is going to be a challenge.
It's going to be especially challenging because I'm drawing upside down so that the people at home can see what's going on.
You know, I was originally not going to do that, but I'm going to try my hand at it as well and see how this goes.
We're here to have fun. We aren't here to sell these to a museum. All right. So I've decided that my ghost is definitely going to be in a graveyard. So we're going to start out with drawing a horizon line. I'm making it kind of crinkly back and forth because I think that straight lines just aren't as spooky as crinkly lines. What do you think?
Yeah, no, straight, nope.
I am going to put some gravestones in here, I think.
Ooh.
I mean, I'm here to get spooky. That's why I'm here. So. We're doing this on a watercolor paper, and that is going to be something that affects the drawings that we get. It's a textured paper. The paper itself is crinkly. When we blue ink or paint across it, the texture of the paper influenced the way that the ink broke along the surface. If you use a completely flat paper, you are going to get less of a side-to-side movement and more of a straight movement. And that is going to result in more of a spindly ghost. But again, spindly is spooky, and maybe you're going for that look. So Storm, I know that I've talked to you a little bit about Edward Gorey. I've shared with you his 6 cats.
Yeah.
I've shared with you his love of black and white drawings and his love of creepy pictures. Have I shared with you that his house is now a museum because enough people think that his stuff is cool that they just took his house and were like, people want to come and even look where he lived.
Oh no, I did not know his house was a museum.
His house is a museum over in Massachusetts, and they have one of his 26 fur coats on display all the time. They sold the others off.
I thought you were about to say one of his cats.
Oh gosh, no.
I was like, no.
No, that would be a different story. He had this really old house that he bought out in Massachusetts when he was getting old enough to be like an eccentric old artist. So he bought this old, I think it was a ship captain's house. And he moved in. He was this man with 21 fur coats. And he decided when he got there, there were, I guess, raccoons in the attic. He decided to just let them live there because he had changed his mind about the ethics of wearing fur and felt bad. And he had owned a raccoon fur coat. And then he was like, well, this is something I can do. I guess you're my roommates now.
Oh.
And I just live for that kind of nonsense.
I wonder, did he feed them regularly, or let them be?
I don't know. Did they have easy egress to the outside world? Were they foraging out there, or were they coming down to his kitchen to get their snacks?
And what
I don't
about
know.
the kitty cat's reaction to the
I know.
raccoon?
I have a cat. I don't think that she would enjoy a family of raccoons, but here we are.
I think my cat would bully the raccoons.
I've seen your cat. I think he might bully the raccoons too.
My cat is an enormous cat, guys. No fault of his own.
It wasn't just, I mean, 21 fur coats, that's a collection. It wasn't just fur coats. He collected tarot cards, and he collected rings, and he collected, I want to say, doorknobs. I don't want to use the H word, hoarder, but I think that he might have had a collection of collections. But that just kind of fits with, I guess, the mythos, because like, if you're going to be an eccentric old artist that draws creepy black and white pictures out in the woods, why not have a collection of doorknobs? he liked to draw these oversized urns in his pictures. And in his own home, next to his front door, he had an enormous oversized urn. And he actually wrote a book about it, Les Inutiles. Please forgive that accent. It's French for the useful urns. And it had enormous urns that were full of really ridiculous things. Like this one is an urn just for postcards, and this one's for thumbtacks. But the one in his house, that's where he threw all of his fan mail unopened.
Oh, never read his fan mail?
That's what he said in his documentary. And I guess that would include the first 2 series of Unfortunate Events books, because Daniel Handler, aka Lemony Snicket, sent them to Edward Gorey and said, "You were a huge inspiration." And here's Edward Gorey just throwing all his fan mail.
Oh no, really? So wait, the author of a series of Unfortunate Events of the fans?
Yeah.
That's so neat.
There's a lot of fans of Edward Gorey that have gone on to be movers and shakers. Neil Gaiman. I think the set designer of Nightmare Before Christmas confirmed that Edward Gorey was an influence for their sets too.
Oh wow, that's so cool. I was just thinking, I'm sure they're totally different timelines, but can you imagine like him illustrating like Edgar Allan Poe's work?
Oh, I would love that.
That would be really cool.
He did illustrate a lot of other people's stuff. I don't think I've ever seen an Edgar Allan Poe one. I got into him when he was doing the pictures for John Belair's novels, which are young Gothic horror novels. And I read those and I was like, oh man, when I grow up, I'm gonna illustrate books. And then I didn't, but I just loved those. I am really liking the texture that you've got going. And you're doing a very good job of drawing upside down.
I'm trying my best here. I've never really, this is probably my first time attempting to draw upside down.
But it looks very nice.
Because it's hard for me to imagine what I'm going to do next, because I'm trying to get my mind mentally to flip the picture the other way.
That's hard work right there. You've got a nice organic pattern going. You've got a nice inorganic pattern with that kind of chain linking of the sky.
Well, it's actually due to this pattern right here. I'm looking at the leaf with the cross hatch back.
Well, if that's going to
that's my inspiration.
Be relevant, I'm just gonna do a little jump cut and let the people at home see that up close. Yeah, I'm liking these. My sky is pale and it gets darker as it goes down. Your ground is pale and it gets darker as it goes up. It looks so nice together.
We didn't even plan that.
We didn't even plan that.
It's funny how some things work out that way.
It is.
I wonder if I could try my hand at a paintbrush.
Okay. I got very thin paintbrushes because this is a high detail situation. And then when our little goes dry, I've got some white ink we can put eyes on if we want to, and then a white gel pen, because that's another way of putting eyes on there. I think I'm going to put some vines going up this obelisk. Edward Gorey loved some obelisks. He loved some vines. He loved big urns, as we have discussed. He loved cats.
I mean, who doesn't love cats?
Okay. Yes, that is a mood right there. But Edward Gorey
was asked by Vanity Fair, who or what is the greatest love of your life? And Edward Gorey said, cats.
Okay, I thought you were about to say good old dog, but I was like, how betrayed I would feel because he owned cats.
Oh, so in our system, we've got a book that he illustrated for someone else, and it is Cats for Days. Just cats like you would not believe. Other things that he has said in interviews include, everyday life is very discomforting. I guess I'm trying to convey that discomforting texture in my books.
Well, he succeeds.
Yes. I guess you'd say his most famous is the Gashley Crumb Tinies, which is an alphabetical book of children dying. So that's
interesting.
That's going to be
That's
as discomforting as it gets.
Yeah, that is pretty.
It starts out, A is for Amy who fell down the stairs. B is for Basil assaulted by bears.
Oh no!
It's a lot.
Weirdly, I would definitely want to look through that.
Well,
For some reason.
You are in luck because the library owns Gorey, which is his first collection. And that's one of the 15 in there. It also has The West Wing, which is a completely wordless book. It's just the dense backgrounds, and it is intense. Oh, nice.
I don't know where I was going with the lines. I think probably I shouldn't have added the lines, but they're there now, so nothing I can really do about it.
In addition to channeling our inward Edward Gorey, just channel your inward Bob Ross.
Yeah, happy little mistake. Accident. Happy little accident. I love Bob Ross, man.
He's not as Halloween-y a figure, but he's welcome nonetheless. I think I do need something in the sky. I think I'm going to make some wispy clouds up in there.
I gotta figure out what I'm gonna put below the ghost.
I think I'm going to make the ground a little bit more dense if I'm going to add something to the sky, because I want there to still be a pretty big difference between them. So October is LGBTQ plus History Month. And that is, in addition to the creepiness, is another reason that I wanted to do an Edward Gorey program. Really? I didn't know this growing up, but I later found out that he said he's neither one thing nor another particularly. He said, I suppose I'm gay, but I never really do anything about it. And I thought, that's a point of view that we don't often hear. So what a nice opportunity to say, this is my favorite illustrator, Edward Gorey, and these are a bunch of things that he has done and said. I came into this project with so much hubris, but now I'm getting to the point where I wonder if drawing upside down is really something I could do.
I don't think I'm able to draw what I originally was going to aim for right here. I might have to flip this for this part.
No one's going to judge you. Like this. Okay. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, all right.
Like underground. I don't know.
I like it.
I'm not sure where I'm going with this quite yet.
Wherever you go, we will follow you. I am feeling like I could use some variation of line in the background, so I'm going to grab another of these drawing implements and see what happens. Can I reach across?
Oh yeah, no problem.
I think this is a skinnier one. We'll do a little bit of thin line.
I forgot mine was thicker.
Oh, thicker.
I was gonna try to do like spatters, but you know what?
Well, I didn't put my name on there. You're welcome to use the other cup too.
I think I might go into the other one. Okay.
Absolutely. Gonna add some leaves to this vine over here because it's a little bit sparse. There's nothing wrong with kind of a just creeping vine without leaves. It's very Halloweeny, but I think I'd like some leaves over here.
I don't know what I'm doing here anymore.
You're having a nice time. That's the point of everything.
You know?
This one is giving me a bird vibe in a serious way.
Oh, that is true.
Mhm.
Yes.
The last time I did something with blown ink was for we got a little ink on the table. That's why we've got the tablecloth. Everything's fine. Was for a crafter noon, and we did some birds then. And we did it with the very thick stuff because you want a nice fat bird. We did some thin stuff for branches and then thick stuff for a bird on it. And I keep thinking, oh, I want to do more like that. And then here it is. And I haven't for like a couple months. So I'm so glad we got this opportunity.
You have no idea how much lung strength this really requires. Oh my goodness. I'm like,
I think that you should try out the plain ink, which has the consistency of water and will flow if you look at it funny. I think that it is very valuable for our audience to know that the thicker it is, the more air it takes to move it.
This is what I got so far. I'm gonna do some sketching, figuring out what I'm gonna do with it.
It's very dramatic, stark black and white. The juxtaposition of a bold black shape against a pale background is very arresting. I think now that those have been thickened up, I think I'm going to call it a day with this guy until he dries enough for me to, I think he is dry enough for me to put eyes on him. I'm going in.
I was gonna say you were using the thin paint, so you're
Exactly right. The thin paint is going to dry faster than the thick paint. I'm going to take the handle of this paintbrush and just dot one eye on there. I did not mix up the paint first, and his eye is very large because it is the watery paint on top.
well, the good thing is you can always go over it again with
I can go over it again. I'm going to dab it ever so slightly and then come at it a second time with some thicker ink.
I see what they're going for there.
Because here I am, acting like I know what's going on, telling people, oh, let me show you how to do this. And then I didn't mix my paint first. All right, I have covered up where I put too watery a substance on top. And in a minute, I will come back with some thicker white paint. But in the meantime, I think I am going to show folks what happens if you use flat paper and very thin ink. I've got a piece for you if you'd like it too.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
So the ink that I've got is significantly thinner than either of the paints we're using. And so that I don't mix paint and ink, I'm going to use a different straw.
Oh, you weren't kidding how watery it is.
With very little effort, the nice puddle of ink I've got has just run all the way across the page from me. I don't think I used even as much air as I used for this fellow, but away it went. So I'm going to tilt this back a little bit, and I'm going to give this some legs, I think. Ooh. All right. This is looking significantly spookier already.
It does. Oh my gosh.
Just like this guy is a little bit spookier than that guy over there.
Doing like a brick wall
Nice.
beneath the ground.
It looks like a crumbliness to the brick wall is making it, it's adding that ambiance that really spooks you.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to put my straw somewhere where it's not going to dribble on anything and put the lid back on this. Take a look at this guy and see what we can make him into.
Oh my gosh, that looks like arms reaching out.
It does have that kind of, what do you guys think? Is that maybe a woman with her hair in a bun wearing a dress and she's like, "Ah." Let's see what we can do with that. I think I'm going to try a Sharpie this time. Since the last one was an outdoor picture, I thought maybe an indoor picture this time. I'm already struggling with the Sharpie because I went in acting like it was going to be the other one. And a Sharpie is more of a blunt instrument. It's serious business. It's going to be thick lines. I need to start taking that into account pretty quickly, I think. Let's nice.
It's much work still.
Okay, but listen, there's doing ink work and doing a dense background is going to be a time-consuming process. It's very detail-oriented. It's a lot of small things that you're putting together. It's a lot of patterns to keep track of. So this is a nice calming activity to do when you've got some time. It's not something to do when you are in a hurry.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
Another thing that Edward Gorey liked, in addition to urns and cats and drawing and the golden girls and collecting things, he liked a nice densely patterned wallpaper. So I'm going to try to stick a nice densely patterned wallpaper in here. And I'm no water paper apologist. I don't know what you say about a wallpaper. I don't know what that is. So I'm just trying my best and hoping that it comes out looking a little bit like wallpaper. It might not. We had been talking before about how the round ones are cuter and the spindly ones are scarier. We had mentioned Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. The artwork of Stephen Gamel has a lot of the dangling strings. That is one of the things that you really carry with you for years after reading that book.
I'm forever traumatized by that. Those books.
Yeah, and if the figures that he had drawn were small round ones, I don't think that that would have been. I would not wake up in a cold sweat 30 years later. So that's just a nice truth about how we interpret drawings that you can carry with you through other art projects as well. Is that wallpapery? Not particularly. We're going to keep going anyway. I don't have any wallpaper where I live, and I don't think about wallpaper regularly. I should maybe have Googled wallpaper before I started drawing it, but we're just flying by the seats of our pants here, so.
Every time you say that line, I think of a musical.
What musical?
Hamilton. They actually use that line.
Well, no, I was going to say the only line I know from Hamilton, but that's not true because I am a person who lives in the United States and I know some about Hamilton. But the only thing that I really remember is when they say unless, because they Lin-Manuel Miranda is a friend of the McElroy brothers, and that's something that they say on My Brother and Me, the podcast.
Oh.
And while I am not cool enough to have seen Hamilton, I am just cool enough to sometimes listen to podcasts. just sometimes.
I need to get back into listening to podcasts. I actually, relatable, would listen to like scary podcasts.
Yes, I love a nice scary podcast. And then out the window, we're going to have the moon.
Almost getting there.
Nice, nice. I'm gonna just blacken the sky entirely, because this isn't much sky to have to do. So I don't have to worry about my hand getting tired or my Sharpie drying out. But what I do have to worry about is the lines that I've done for the window disappearing if I do black. So I'm going to have to make it a thin white line for the window right there so that we'll still be able to see it. And that's not a design choice that I made consciously. That's just something that I had to do because before I knew it, I was drawing this. And sometimes that's just how it goes. Which brings me to another Edward Gorey quote. Oh, I don't have a great memory, so this is probably not going to be exact. But he said something like, if something doesn't surprise you when you're drawing, then why are you even drawing in the first place? And I really relate to that too, because
I feel like a lot of people encounter surprises in their drawings, like me, where I'm like, oops, I did not mean to do that, but hey, I'll just work on it from there and see what comes up.
it's that genuine spirit of adventure and discovery that brings us places. How's that window? Yeah, okay, that looks windowy.
It does, yeah.
I think that adding that sky really made it significantly more windowy than it previously had been. Adding some variation to this because it's a little bit samey right now, and Edward Gorey wouldn't stand for that. He wants different textures and different intensities, creating different values in the background, leading to being able to differentiate your items. Beautiful. For some reason, the spattering is making me think of like a crime scene. Something went down over there.
Something underground went down.
Yeah, that ghost has been up to stuff. In preparation for recording this, we did a practice run yesterday, and Storm, who has her finger on the beating pulse of horror, said, what about something coming out of a well? And I said, oh my goodness, yes. So she has started a picture of a ghost coming out of a well.
A very creepy ghost, one that reminds you of scary stuff.
Yes. A nice spindly ghost for maximum scariness, and a well, which I don't know if it's just the human condition to find wells scary, but I find wells very scary.
Especially the old ones, not necessarily new ones, but a lot of the homes that you see that have the old cement ones out front with the cement block over it that you could just push off, and who knows how far deep down it goes.
No, that's terrifying, and I can't deal with that. All right, so the sky is going well. I think I'm going to darken up the floor by taking this line pattern and making it cross hatched. By turning the pattern 90 degrees and doing it again, we are going to double the amount of well, not quite double because there's places where it overlaps, but nearly double the amount of ink, make it twice as dark, make it more easily differentiable. Oh yeah, that's much more flory. Maybe another little bit over here. And right down here, because, yeah, okay, that's very flory.
Looking very nice.
I am going to need to do something around the edges of the windows, I think, because it's
Maybe do lighter lines.
lighter
So-
line.
So it won't look so. You don't want to get too encroached on your
I
ghost.
don't want to get encroached on my ghost, because the ghost has a lot going on. The ghost has a certain number of tendrils, and now that I think about it, doing lines in the wallpaper is making the lines of the ghost less intense.
I mean, he's still there.
still there.
Unless you want him to blend in with the wallpaper.
Oh, that's terrible.
I'm sorry. Hey, we're making things
Terrifying.
creepy here.
We are making things very creepy here.
Spooky month and all.
Very spooky month, very spooky artist, very spooky medium. Yeah, I think just like outlining the window made it a little different.
Can't really see, but I did like a kind of cross hatching pattern within the cell.
Nice.
I did alternating, so if I did down going this way, the next stone portion I go up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I was trying to think of, now I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do. I keep glancing to this beautiful sheet of different patterns to get an idea of what I want to do per se. These pens are like one of my favorite medium.
So the pens that I have here today are some felt tip pens for drawing, and they're a brand that I use a lot, but I'll tell you what, I have really started to enjoy just doing the Sharpie one too. Now that I'm feeling a little bit more used to just drawing with a Sharpie, I think this is pretty good.
I had the crazy idea of dipping the ends of my braids into the ink.
Your hair is so cute. Please don't.
And going, just swiping over the page to get like.
If you wanted a natural hairbrush, you could have just said I would have gotten one. You know, I think I need a little bit more India ink on here. I thought I was going to be done, but I think I'm just going to add a little bit more. Liking that. I'm just going to make this just a little bit wider. And generally, I am 300% in favor of just following wherever the chaos of the ink takes you. But now that I kind of have this ghost in my head about who they are, what they're up to, I just feel like this part needs to be a little thicker. And it's not technically illegal for me to make a change. Yep, I think that is the appropriate ghost thickness. I think that enough time has passed. I'm going to add this eye in again. But I'm going to shake the paint first this time, because I attempt to learn from my mistakes. And I remember when I was doing the bird art one, every time I would say, remember to shake your ink. And did I remember to shake my ink? No, I did not. All right. Tiny little eye on a tiny little ghost. I am really feeling that. But of course, also, you have done me the great favor of gifting me with this set of googly eyes. And I can't help but wonder, how would one look with some googly eyes on there?
Would it make it less spooky, or I had a more
I can't help but feel there's going to be
on this one?
that would be a little bit much. I don't think that I would survive that. I think I am going to put googly eyes on this one that I made yesterday because he's very round, and roundness and googly eyes, I think, can be a good pairing. I don't know if spooky and googly eyes are quite the same, though I'd be willing to explore. Should they be close together or further apart?
Further apart.
Okay. Further apart gives him a certain gormlessness.
I love it.
This one that I did yesterday, I think, was also a Sharpie, but the Sharpie works so differently on the watercolor paper that I've got, because the watercolor paper is so absorbent, and the thin, the flat paper is, I want to say Bristol board, and it just didn't want to soak up. So you've got a variety of different artistic options available for you, and they're all going to behave idiosyncratically. Yes. I love your well ghost. If something like that came out of a well, that would just be it for me.
I would run. I would be gone.
I would never be seen again.
Yeah, pretty much.
Change my name, live in a different state.
Gone. I'm gone. Did you use that brush for white by chance?
I did, but I have cleaned it. Wait, no, I used this end for white.
Oh, well, I'm using white again
sure,
too. So because these two brushes are black, so I was like, now I'm like, should I add white eyes onto this ghost, or would it be too much? Should he just remain I'm trying to think of anonymous blob.
Yeah, when you add eyes to something, it really does anthropomorphize it. So like, this guy is significantly more alien than this guy, who's just a little guy with a little face now. So you will be like, oh, I do like that. They're a little bit different in size, making his head look slightly cocked.
Yeah,
I'm into it.
Exactly.
That is so spooky. Okay. All right. We have made some amazing art. Let's put it all together so that people can compare and contrast him. So today we have done, well, he's mostly a
last touch actually with this eyes on this dude here.
Oh yeah.
I have to tell them apart from the other blobs.
Nice. I love how the moon is directly behind him. It's got kind of a haloing effect. Lovely. So, as you can see, we have done so much art. We've made a bunch of different looking ghosts. We've made a bunch of different looking backgrounds. Same supplies, different techniques, different just different patterning. This is just such a different look from this or this or this. And this is almost the same because we were both using the micron pens. And so the world is your oyster. You've got, with just those 4 supplies, something to draw with, something to draw on, some ink to blow, and something to blow it with. You have just a million different things you can try. And I cannot wait to see you guys try some things on your own.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining us for today's Craft and Create, and we can't wait to see you next time. Bye.